everyone, it's Linda Ockwell-Jenner here again with another episode of SBCN TV, and have my very naughty guest here,
Naughty.
Steve Bentley.
I'll go with it.
Our sponsor for SBCN TV and our digital sponsor, Northern River Financial. You were being naughty then.
Why was I being naughty?
He was playing with the camera. And so say hello and you're going to behave yourself.
Well, I don't promise I'm going to behave myself, but welcome to another episode of SBCN TV. It's episode 6, I think. Is that correct?
It is episode 6, and every time we do a TV and I get to spend time with you, I'm so overjoyed, Steve.
Well, you pay me to... Yeah, sorry. Shh, we're not supposed to say anything.
So I'm counting down to start on time because our producer will tell us off, and he was being naughty. So because of that, Steve, I hear that people have been talking to you about having a mindset. So is this to do with motivation or?
You know, I think a lot of people in small businesses at some point in the process of starting and operating a small business have challenges that they face. And I think we have a common friend who actually shared some information this week in a new podcast themselves. And I thought that's really a good topic to talk about because people don't know how to deal with the difficulties they have when they feel and they encounter problems. And so we come to the concept of mindset, and it's all about how you think things, how you rationalize things, and how you process it. And so I think it's important to try and talk about that as a focus.
That's a great topic. It really is a great topic. I think what we think, we become. So if we think negative thoughts and we think we can't do something, we won't be able to do it.
Was it Winston Churchill? I think he said, don't look at failure as a failure, but look at it as an obstacle, right? And I think everybody's got to realize and take into their own mind that nothing is going to go smoothly. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be some success. There's always going to be some failure. But it's how you take that. And I talk about our own industry where people go out and they engage with a client and they think they're going to sell something to that client, and all of a sudden it falls through. And then they lose focus, they lose concentration, they get so worried about why they lost that sale that they're missing out on potentially other opportunities. So it's sort of like you got to learn how to move on and how to process it and take the positive from it.
So basically, I guess for the viewers out there who have a business and they're thinking that maybe they're not going enough customers or enough clients, or if you're cold calling, you have the door shut in your face every 5 minutes, which, is really bad. But that's what I do if somebody cold calls me, because I'm not expecting it. I know I'm mean, but there you go. So what I would do is set goals and write the goals down, because if you don't write the goals down, and I've got to do a bit of a plug here. Last week I was at an event with my daughter. It was an amazing event, a TELUS event. It was for the Y, and basically Lisa Lisson was the guest speaker. And believe it or not, Steve,
you're going to tell us who Lisa is?
Oh, sorry. She is the president, the first woman president of FedEx Canada. She's amazing. But what she did for me, I've got a lot going on at the moment. I've got lots of businesses, family stuff going on. So I think I had to find my mindset, if that's the right way to say it. I think I had to find myself again. And what Lisa did for me, she inspired me to say, I've had a few glitches, but I can get over them. So what I would suggest is exactly what she says, but you and I do it, Steve. Write down the goals, even if you're not losing your mindset or losing your mind, write down the goals and look at them every day, because if you don't, you're less likely to do them. So what that did for me, Steve, it gave me a more positive attitude. Okay?
That's important. Positive attitude.
Yeah.
The whole concept is attitude, and this person in the podcast we talked about negative versus positive.
So this person who did the podcast, she has a name.
Okay.
I'd love you to plug out
Sylvia Gressner from SG Money Coaching.
She's amazing.
She's very calm and collected and very well-spoken individual. And she hit the nail on the head in terms of you've got to get away from the negativity. And, we get so involved in just listening to social media, the news and stuff. We get into a negative mindset, and we have to have a positive mindset. Those people can go and start their business day and have a smile on their face and have a smile at the end of the day. Those people don't necessarily have a very smooth day, but they just realize that they have to concentrate on the positive, right? And you talked about it.
You have a wonderful... I cannot imagine you waking up and having a bad day. Glass of whiskey, you said.
No, I'm sorry.
A canoe.
A canoe, yes, but not a glass of whiskey.
Well, maybe overnight, glass of whiskey. But do you ever lose sight, and you need motivating.
Right. Here's a big thing, and I've written about this before. And I talked about it in my recent blog post I put on my
Your
Facebook
blog
page
post
every 2 weeks, and it had the message speaks in the sense everybody's got to find their Sunday morning. Where they find that time in the week to just de-stress, concentrate, review what's happened in the week, and try and set a positive position for moving forward in the next week, right?
So it's
we can't just go.
definitely
We got to find that point of decompression. For me, it's a canoe on a lake, if I can have that. Just anxious for the ice to get out, which should be May 10th, where I'm going. It's the mindset. And it comes down to trying to keep a positive mindset and look at you're going to have a lot of negatives, but try and find the positive or the lesson or the small gem of good information in that negative, and maybe why it's happened. How can I change it from happening again? It's important to just not look at the negative side of it, but try and look at the positive.
You're talking about, again, something, we may as well just quote Lisa all the way through. She talked about having time for me. We're all busy, we've all got families, we've all got friends, so taking time for me is very important. So mindset, I wonder if I'm not going to, what does mindset mean? You're the clever one. What does it really mean if you, tear it to pieces?
Well, I think it's simply how you think and how you rationalize and how you process information. And a lot of people, you hear the poor me, or this is happening in my life, or why is it happening to me? We're all going to have that, and some worse than others, but we've got to find a way to come around that, because if we can't come around that by trying to create a mind that's focusing on the positive as opposed to always dwelling on the negative.
That's a good point. I will bring in very briefly, it's an important topic. I don't think we're talking about the people in business or in the personal lives who are experiencing depression, anxiety, stuff like that. It's very hard when you're having, when you have issues with your mental health, to have the right mindset. So obviously go and get some help, talk to a friend. So we're really talking about people who may have come across an obstacle in their business and it's holding them back. And in a way, what they should do is talk to me and you, because we can teach them how to jump over the obstacles.
But I think that's the great thing about social media too, is you have people such as the lady you mentioned who put information out there, who provides some form of mentorship, provides some form of coaching, provides some information, and there's a lot of good people. I think people should try and find those people they can relate to who can help them deal with what they're dealing with, whether it be in a mentoring or coaching role, but everybody should have somebody.
Easy to find, and I'm going to be really mean now, and this is why I guess nobody really likes me, but the information's there, and often it's free, and all I do, I look on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm motivated maybe every second minute, because there are like attracts like, and I attract motivated, happy, successful people to me, and you do. That's why we're attracted to each other in the business sense. So, think about why you can't think about why you can look for help instead of why there's no help out there. If you can't afford to pay a coach, there's free mentoring. There's so many free resources. And I would recommend listening to Sylvia's podcast, Sylvia Greshner. You can just Google it and you find her.
Well, I know you've mentored people too where they have trouble with their mindset. And I tell a story where I was with a guy one day and he was saying, well, I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this. And I said, wait, I'm going to ask you a question. What can you do?
Yeah, that's
in other words, it's the mindset. It's what I can, or this is what I can do, as opposed to why I can't do it. That said, reaching out to friends, reaching out to business, people that you know in business, there's a lot of people willing to help you. And you talked about mental health. There's a lot of concerns with the state of mental health in small business and with small business owners.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. Now, it's quite an old book, I think. Have you read Leap? I can't remember who it's by. It's a book called Leap. It'll be easy to find. And it's a very simple book. It's very slim. And one of the things that stood out for me, we keep saying, yes, but. So this guy turned it into a monster, but. Yeah. So every time this monster comes into your head and is whispering to you, say, I can, I will, I have, and I can do it again. Always say positive thoughts. I listen to motivational music with subliminal messages, and my husband thinks I'm a little bit doolally, which I'm not. You can't hear the messages, but look at me, I'm very happy, it helps me, and I haven't had a drink of wine. So
but that comes back to what I talk about, that Sunday morning concept, that just listening to music or listening to something that has a peaceful sound to it. I'm going to tell you a secret. One of the things I do is I listen to music with nature sounds in it. And people do listen to nature sounds as an example, just to try and get rid of the noise in your head. So
and there's a lot of noise in our heads.
Things that you need to think about.
And open the window. The birds singing outside my window. I don't even have to turn the music on. You know, I think that's a really good topic, Steve. I think you did well to bring it up. And I think we could follow that on again with... so we've got our mindset. We've set our goals. We're asking for help if we need. Oh, yeah. So spoke at an event for Motivational Steps, my other business, last week. And I did 60 women leaders. And basically I said, can you give me a show of hands who ask for something if you want it? You know how many hands went up?
Not a lot.
Four hands. Yeah. And basically I wouldn't be in this position today, and neither would you, if we hadn't been brave enough, if you think it takes bravery, to ask for help, or ask someone to be a guest on your podcast, or, you know, ask someone if they can mentor you. So I felt quite sad that people today cannot ask for help or say, you know, will you work with me? You know, can we build an alliance together? That was another thing that I think is to do with mindset. So how can we help everybody, Steve, move on now and say, well, our mindset is strong?
Here's something we have to put up first. We can only help the people that are willing to be helped.
Yes.
You know, if they can't, you talk to people and you say, well, you can look at this, you can look at this, you can look at this. We can't be them, but we can give them ideas. But if they turn around and they say, I can't this, and I can't that, and I can't this, well, they got to change that mindset. Again, coming back to that. But that said,
we'd like them
earlier in my career, when I was coaching people who were coming into the industry that I'm in terms of financial advice, I always said, talk to people who are senior in this business, who have done well, who have been successful. 95% of the time, those people will give you the shirt off their back. They'll go to coffee, they'll have lunch, they'll review things with you. Don't try and reinvent things. There's a lot of people that can help you who have been down that road. Don't think it's all by yourself.
It's funny, my hairdresser, Tony De Silva, Cucicabello, little plug, he's one of my mentors too. And it's so funny when I go into the salon once a week, by the way, we talk about our ups and our downs, and Tony doesn't have many ups and downs. He's one of those people, but he inspires me and he motivates me, but he makes me laugh. But if I'm opposite a person who said, I can't, I soak up that negative energy, and then I need to get away from that so I can find my grounding again.
I think the only caution we would have is maybe some people just need a little bit of time to realize that they have. And I think there's a lot of people who don't realize and come across.
So how can they realize?
You can only ask the question. Right?
Hey, have you lost your mind,
they're willing to, well...
I mean, mindset.
But going to coffee with somebody or bringing something up, I mean, they're either going to take it as constructive criticism or they're not. But a lot of times people haven't been told. And that's the thing, because people are polite. And you can ask and be polite, but a lot of people, they don't bring the topic up, so these people don't think there's any
But in another case, if they've asked you to mentor them and they still don't like I did have to say to one of my clients for Motivational Steps, I like you, I trust you, but I'm not really your friend. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
And that's when people's feelings get hurt, because basically, in a way, we're insulting them.
No, I wouldn't use the word insulting.
What are we doing, hurting the feelings?
Well, you know what? If they take it that way, well, then that's a problem.
It is.
They got to take what you're saying as criticism, and it should hopefully be put forward as constructive criticism, but they need to accept that. And if you're mentoring or coaching somebody, you can't just tell them what they want to hear, because it's useless. You're not doing the role that you've been asked to do. You have to put things on the table that maybe they don't want to hear.
Well, most of the people we mentor, I believe, are very motivated, got a great skill set, and even if they do lose their way a little bit, they've got me and you. So basically, I think, it's a case of helping each other. The other topic that's been brought up a lot, Steve, and I think you will love this one, is etiquette in business.
That's a big thing for me.
Thank you. Now, what was it that prompted you to say that? Because you're a man. You think different to women.
Well, let me give you an example that's totally indirectly related, and I'll come back to why it's important. I sometimes put some controversial statements out on Facebook on my personal page, right? For a point of probing discussion. But I'll tell you, there's two things that I don't like. One is people who insult people,
Yeah.
and the other who use profanity. And I think in both cases,
Yeah.
they're making a weaker argument than they potentially can make.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you always have to treat, or you should always treat people with respect. Etiquette is so important, and etiquette in business is so important. And I always say, like, simply, one of the things is, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say you're going to reply to somebody, you reply to them.
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Yeah.
There's so much that's lacking in terms of just common
A
manners.
simple thank you, yeah. A couple of days ago, having a private conversation, personal, in fact, wasn't private, but it's a family conversation, wasn't anything to do with business, and then somebody was bugging about when are you going to email me? So it was nothing to do with, business. It was completely personal. So I immediately defriended that person. That's not good etiquette unless I'm bringing the person into that is bad. Another thing that's bad online is ignoring you when they connect with you. And then we've been through this before with LinkedIn. Hello, thanks for connecting with me. Can I be of assistance? No, but I'm just collecting all these people. That's bad etiquette as well.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing is online etiquette, right?
Well, this is what I'm talking about, the online
exactly
etiquette.
the point a lot of people don't get. I mean, another example, I was at a networking function earlier last week, and I'm in with a group of a couple of people, and we're having a discussion about something. Then all of a sudden this person comes walking in, just walks right into the conversation and changes the topic.
Rude, don't do that.
and I'll be respectful to the person only to say that they had this very specific question for this person that was in this group. And they were really anxious and excited to be able to meet them and talk to them about it. I think he just lost sight of the fact that he's, not handling it the way he should.
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
just
yeah.
interrupted.
That's a really good point.
And that's just subtle things people do and they don't necessarily realize it.
That's a really good point. Another thing is etiquette online. If we're going to post stuff from other people, if I post something from Steve, give Steve due credit. If I post a graphic from someone, give them due credit. I mean, it's only fair. The other thing is people cannot hit on you online if you don't encourage them. The right etiquette there is as soon as a guy or a woman, because women hit on guys as well, tries to turn an online conversation from business to flirtation, unless you are looking for that kind of relationship.
Well, in that case, take it offline.
Please don't.
Right?
Yeah, but no, they can do it online. The thing is, I hear so many women say, "Well, the guys are only wanting to chat me up now, or flirt with me," and I say, cut off the conversation. Don't be friends with them, because the right etiquette is if you're on there for business. But then don't go moaning about it. And guys, it's not just you, women chat guys up as well.
Well, I come back to the fact that even if you have a negative experience with somebody, I'll give you an example. I had a guy who, the other year, he had a canoe, very special canoe. It's a carbon fiber canoe made by a certain manufacturer up north where I spent a lot of time. And great boat, but there are always going to be some small flaws. And in this case, he ended up getting some spider cracks in the finish. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, all he did, instead of reaching out to the manufacturer to say, here's my issue, he made negative posts online about them. Now, if this person had done his homework, he would have realized that there was a lifetime warranty on the product.
So he did this before giving the person a chance to better.
So I reached out to him, I said, couldn't you at least had a conversation to see what they're willing or not willing to do? And if you had, you would have been totally satisfied.
That's bad etiquette.
Instead of making, and then you're putting out bad PR and bad information about a company that wasn't really true.
That's bad. So face-to-face etiquette, you might think it different to me, but if I've arranged to meet you for a coffee and I get there first, I will offer to buy you a coffee, and vice versa. That's just the way I do it. I don't know about you.
Well, let's talk about showing up,
If I forgot to show up.
I'll leave that for another time. No, my point is, if you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, be there. And I don't like when people don't respect people's timelines.
No.
They're busy too. They make an effort to be somewhere at a certain time. You need to be there within a short,
unless there's an emergency, obviously.
Well, then the simple thing is, then you just text or email or phone and say, hey, I can't. Right? And I've had it where you're sitting and you're waiting 15 minutes and all of a sudden you text them and say, hey, I forgot I'm busy. But guess what?
Oh my God.
You know, well, you're not the only one, right?
The worst
rude.
is, I guess, because you and I are online a lot, and we do it whenever we are, don't we? You're up north, I'm in another country, and we can still work online. And obviously, we set our post to go automatically if we're not there. And so people will say, "Hey, Linda, can you meet me tomorrow for a chat, about business?" And I go, "No, I'm booked up for months to come." And people just think you can jump for them. And I mean, that's not real life. If we were that unbusy, that's a good word, then how come
Well,
we're still in
here's
business?
an important thing, though. Sometimes you do need to have that opportunity, because I'll take an example where all of a sudden there's an urgent issue in our business. We do have them.
Oh, a client.
Where
a client's different.
Yeah, exactly. Where you have to have that a little bit of flexibility to deal with those things. But
Clients,
that should be the
I would
exception.
jump for.
Right.
But people saying, "I hear you help people for coffee.
Oh,
Can we meet
no,
tomorrow?"
no,
No, sorry, I can't. Etiquette for networking events. And a very good friend of mine, I'm not going to name her, even though it was on Facebook and everybody shared it for her. She arranged an amazing event recently, and it was free, and she paid for all the food. It was a really good topic. And so many people said they were going to go, and a lot of people let her down. So $300 worth of food or something like that. So I think all the events today have that problem, because the etiquette should be you sign up for something, you register for something, and you turn up. You don't wait till the last minute and say, "Oh, there's so many events, I don't know which one to go to." Bad etiquette, and everybody's doing
Well,
it
what they
today.
forget is that this person has put out $300 of their own money for an event. And people just take that.
It's
and just say-
heartbreaking.
They don't think about that side of it. They just think of why they can't go,
I know, it's
not
very
the impact on the
selfish.
person they're not going to see for that reason. Right?
And people have
They're just
taken the
thinking of their
time
own.
to get the event ready, and there's probably
Right.
speakers there and stuff like that. So I think it's very rude. So etiquette online and face to face in business, if you're doing bad things, it will impact your brand. It really will,
Well, it
and you
could
will
kill
get
your brand, right?
It will, and you'll get a really bad name for it. So we have got a question from, I think it was last week, that we said we'd follow on with, and I've completely forgot what oh yes, it was definitely a podcast last week, wasn't it? The question is, if you start a podcast, how often should you actually be recording or doing the live podcast? I would say as consistently as possible. So whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month, the consistency then lets your subscribers, who will be looking for it on iTunes or Spotify, whatever, they will be looking for it. So if you do a podcast every 2 weeks for, say, 2 months, and then you don't do another one for 6 months, you're going to lose everybody.
Well, I think you need to communicate how often you're going to be communicating.
That's a good one.
You take our show, although it's not a podcast. It's just if people want to know, we always say bi-weekly, and if you go to our website, it tells you it's bi-weekly.
And we
right?
bug you online.
Because there's people who might like your content, and they don't know when to look for it, unless there's some type of schedule to it, right? But I think it's got to be consistent, and I talk about this in terms of content marketing with different people, in the sense that
we have
if you have content
question.
marketing...
Oh, what's the question?
Let me just finish one point. We'll come
Okay,
back.
I'm just
It's
excited.
just to simply say, make sure you have regular and recurring current contact.
Okay, what's the question for Victoria? Hi, Victoria.
She said she had a great experience most recently with a client who gave us the opportunity to provide a solution to the problem prior to them posting on social media. So that's the exact sample we come back to in terms of the one example I gave about the canoe and that person up north, is allow the vendor, allow the service person or the business to remedy the situation.
Yes.
Now, if they don't,
Yes.
well, then there is an opportunity to be able to share a bad experience on Facebook if you feel you need to do that.
So Victoria is absolutely amazing. Victoria Trinchy, she's Homewood Suites. I know she's got a very good title, and I can't wait to. Sorry, Victoria. Is she the VP or the manager or something? And that was a really lovely question. Thank you, Victoria. I would say that the one thing Victoria is doing right in her line of work is the excellent customer service. And without customer care, good customer service, people are going to walk.
Well, especially in the hospitality industry, there's so many other choices, right? I think where she's having positive traction is she is positive, she's happy, she's engaging with people, she's doing things that people should be doing, because she's got to bring people in, right? And so she's doing it the right way, in my perspective.
So that's really another topic we could touch on some other time. Like, if you're the face of the business, whether you're a sole proprietor or like Victoria heading up, a large hotel, or somebody like you, we could actually be called gatekeepers in a bad way, where we turn people away and they don't want to come into our business because we're being rude and unprofessional. That's really difficult.
Well, and I've written about that before in terms of you don't always want to work with everybody, right? So there's some people who you want to work with. There's some people you want to bring in as clients.
So I don't have to work with.
But there's some people that we talk about that mindset, you know? Like if I look at a client as an example and they've always are negative.
Yeah.
Well, at some point I'm just going to decide that's maybe not the relationship I want to move forward with,
No.
right? So, and you're not necessarily providing any service if they're not receiving it. So that gatekeeper concept is important because you can't do business with everybody.
Thank God you're not going to fire me. I actually now will not work with clients if I don't feel they're a fit. Gotta tell you, we've all been there, maybe not Steve, but I've been there 18 years ago and I was so desperate for clients, I'd take anybody, I'd beg them to have me, don't pay me. I mean, I'm past that now, thank God. But the thing is, you get to a point where you know you can't help someone and so you have to say, I will send you to Steve or somebody else because you're not doing them a good service if you stay with them, are you?
Well, you got to know what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. If you can't, you got to be honest. Even that said, that you know, as a person providing services, if I can't provide something that I think somebody specifically needs, then you make that connection. You don't just leave them in a lurch if you feel there's someone you can introduce them to.
If the client's not going to do your health any good, or like we talked about it, if they didn't have the right mindset and you're flogging a dead horse or whatever you call it, that's not good as well. We've had some really good topics tonight, haven't we? So, Stephen, are you heading up north?
She's putting me on the hot seat again.
Well, you are our sponsor. Everybody wants to know about Northern River Financial, and basically that came about because you virtually live up north as much as you can.
I spend a lot of time from the beginning of May right through into early November, and we have an office, obviously, in Huntsville, 2 people working with us up there. So that takes a bit of the burden off, but I do have to be up there and meet with clients. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time in the north of Gravenhurst, Bracebridge, Huntsville area.
Now, here's a question. Say you're on a canoe, you got your phone, and you get an urgent call.
I don't have a phone on my canoe.
You don't? Really? So what about if there's an urgent...
You know why? Because really, in a lot of cases, there's no reception. So
there's no point. So blunt.
You take it that, hey, I get instant connection here, but not necessarily.
So has it ever happened where you've got back from your canoe trip and somebody's urgently been trying to get you and they can't get you? I mean, who do they call if they don't call you?
Well, I mean, we got 3 administrators too, so each office has somebody that deals with clients on a daily basis. But I also make it a habit of checking things at least twice a day.
Oh, thank God.
Because in our business, things do become an emergency or things do come up, and we need to reply immediately. So we obviously have to have a way that we're continually following up with our contacts on a daily basis.
Yeah, I remember once, I'm not going to name the company, but my husband was working for a large organisation when he first moved over, and we were somewhere, I think we were in the States, Darien Lake, and there was an emergency. They said, we'll send a private plane for you, we'll get you back as quick as possible. And Dave says, I'll be back in 2 days, it's not that urgent. I would say that company had too much money and not enough sense. And
well, I think they're full of themselves in a sense too. They think that, that's an emergency, because that's one of the things we do. We got to rationalize whether something is an emergency or not. Right, and so I think we just need to think on their side, but also think on our side when we decide how to respond.
So, Steve, Northern River Financial, just tell us, basically, obviously your blog and everything like that, but how do people contact you if they want to find out more about Northern River Financial? How would they?
You can Google Northern River Financial or myself, Steve Bentley, CFP. All the contact information comes up there. Certainly, steve@northernriverfinancial.ca is the email. It's easy to find me. Just Google me.
And in the last couple of minutes, what would you say, apart from canoeing, is one of your most favourite hobbies?
Something I just did last weekend. I went down to a little historic home near Cayuga, Ontario, and I just wandered through trails and taking pictures of birds and warblers and animals and purple martins. And it was gorgeous. And scenery, and that's just one of the ways that we distress.
So that is your hobby, photography?
Yeah, and fortunately the partner I'm with right now, she's very much into that too.
That's amazing. So you know how to take care of your downtime in order that when you do get back to work and it's very busy. Is this one of the busiest times for you at the moment?
No, we just came out of it. People traditionally look at it as RSP season and tax season, personal tax season, right? So we actually just came out, 4 or 5 days ago, got through the rest of that. So.
And are all your clients happy? There's nobody saying, Stephen, you've made a mistake, you've cost me thousands of dollars.
Well, we stand by, we're human. If we do make a mistake, we obviously will correct it to the betterment of the client. But, we do our best to make sure that things are the way
I cannot imagine me getting into your kind of work because
a canoe.
Or a canoe. I can't swim. I never learned to swim. I had a protective mom. But no, seriously, I think it's amazing that people like all these different, work things, because if they didn't, we wouldn't have financial advisors, motivational speakers, Victoria, people like that. It's been an amazing chat, Steve, and I think we've given everybody food for thought, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks. You always have the date, don't you, Steve?
It's in my calendar. Absolutely.
When are we back again, Steve?
21st.
So the 21st.
May 7th, can you believe that?
Wow.
Today?
It's my son's birthday today, Gary. So we'd love some questions. Thank you, Victoria, for yours. So if you can't join us live, please email the questions. All the information's on SBCN TV website. And we do post on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. And we hope we've offered you lots of food for thought tonight, don't we?
Yeah, that's something I got to get a better handle on is Instagram. Maybe
I love
you're
it.
a little more onto it, but I've been told I got to get more.
I have to use 3 different things to use it. We'll talk about Instagram next time because I'm not a millennial, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to get to grips with. Bye for now, and we'll definitely be back in 2 weeks' time with another SBCN TV.
See you in 2.
Bye for now.